Just watching the market chop here. It's very, very choppy. Just very, very flat. Really a dead day right now. The market has not done anything from the morning. Again, I took profits in SMR here, nice profits in SMR. I'm looking to get back into it again, but right now it's just moving sideways. You need to see a break above that pink, the pivot point, the pink line there. QUBT is a decent setup for a stock trade. You would need to trade stock in this most likely. Options not so great, but the stock gapped up pretty nicely here, still holding up okay. Big move up in Cuba today, 42%. Again, just watching, you see the composites just Wyse super system just going switching back between bullish and bearish, back and forth. There's no movement here. We get the VWAP right here. The SPY is just below. We get the pivot point right here, another resistance level, and it's a dynamic compression zone. This is just sideways movement in the SPY. Triple Q is very similar, and the IWM, which has been a little bit weaker this morning, but still just going back and forth here. Not much to trade. Again, I'm looking to get into SMR again. Took a nice profit in SMR this morning. Get in at 570 back on the 8th, 560. Sold at $7 this morning. Now I'm looking to get back in again. Again, we talked about doing a straddle on HEI at 280. It's down to 278 right now, so you can't touch it until it gets to 280. That would be a straddle.
GL coming from TechCrunch, AI, Pioneer, Francois, Cholette, names in Google.
Okay, be right back. Step away for just a moment and I'll be back. Market not doing much, so we'll be looking for some opportunities here soon. Back again. Had to step away for a minute. I don't think I missed much. SMR, I'm trying to get back into SMR, but I'm just going to wait for it to break up the VWAP, which is not doing, SPY's is not doing it. This is really a very, very flat market here. There's no opportunities for any SPY super system trades at all right now. Just a very, very slow market. See if we get any questions. Let's see. Good grief. What hit SMR earnings? No, there's no earnings in SMR. I don't know what you mean, what hit it. It pulled down this morning on a nice gap up. Where we took profits actually. We had a nice sell order in there at $7 and got filled right up here, and then it's pulled back. It's just, the stock is fairly volatile. I mean, if you look at the daily chart in SMR, this is not a problem on the 5-minute chart. This is still a beautiful daily chart here. Got a little red candle, but I mean, it tends to move up, compress along the 8, which is the white line right here, and then just moving back up again, trying to pull back to the 8, but still a nice setup on the daily chart. Still like it long here, just waiting for an opportunity to get into it again. Shy? You late again? Hoping I could talk about butterflies a bit. Yeah, I'll talk about here in just a bit. Not something I talk about a lot. Butterflies are, you have to be really good at technical analysis to make butterflies work for you. They're a good risk reward. They're a great risk reward. You can get them inexpensively, but you got to be able to pinpoint where that stock price is gonna end, where it's gonna close right at the expiration date. That's where most of your money is made, right in the last day or so. Oh, you say OKLO has earnings tonight? Yeah, might affect SMR. Correct. So you took your first one in NVIDIA day yesterday and made 35%. It was nice, but I would love some insight on it. When and how are other tips? Yeah, it's butterflies. Basically what you're trying to do with a butterfly is the way a butterfly works, a standard butterfly, is you pick a strike that you think is where the stock price is going to end. Within reason, approximately where that stock is going to be at expiration date. And what you do is you sell, either calls or puts, but I use calls. You sell 2 calls at that strike price, and then you buy one higher price call and one higher price put, as lower price put. So you've got basically you're selling 2 calls right at where you expect it to end, and then you buy in a call 1 strike above, and you buy in a put 1 strike below, and you're basically trying to have that stock price sit right at the close at the strike price that you've selected. If you do that, when you get into the trade, typically you can usually get in for like $1 spread. You can usually get in for around 20 cents or so. So you got a 5 to 1, and if you go out even wider than that, you can get 10, 15, 20 to 1 on it. But you want the strike price to want the stock price to end at right around that strike price you pick, which means you have to be good at predicting where that stock is going to go. Now you can do it on the indexes, on the SPYs and stuff, and use it on a daily basis. Like on a day like this, doing a butterfly on the SPY today is probably not a bad trade, because of the fact that it's so flat. In other words, you're looking at about 596, a little over 596. You could do a 596 or a 597 butterfly on the SPY today, if it stays flat like this all day long, you'll do fine. But most of the profits are going to be made right in the very last part of the day. So for example, if you're going to try to do a butterfly today on the SPY, it's trading here at around 596, around 596, 597. So you could do a 596, and what you would do is you would sell 2 calls at 596, buy a call at 595, and buy a call at 597. All right, so you're if I look at that now, selling the 596, two calls at 596, buying a 595 and a 597, I've got a $1 spread. It costs right now 19 cents. All right, so if the stock, if it ends up around 596 toward the end of the day, the 19 cents could go up toward $1 pretty quickly. All right, so that's would be a butterfly on the SPY, based on the fact that it's very flat today. All right, that's how you would do it. Selling two calls at 596, buying 1 call at 595 and 1 call at 597, and that's a standard butterfly. Again, one of the members pointed out that OKLO has earnings tonight, and OKLO is in the same space as SMR, so earnings could impact SMR. So if you're out of SMR, to be prudent, you might want to wait till tomorrow and see what SMR does, or maybe just take a couple of contracts today and then wait for what SMR does tomorrow. That's probably a better way to trade it.
On BII being now out with a pressure, SI receives positive opinion from the CHMP in the European Union for LIQUIDITY in early Alzheimer's disease. BIIB.
With a little move over the VWAP here. Qs as well. And they got the pivot point right above. That white line is going to be resistance, likely. Welcome to all the YouTube folks that are joining in the room right now. Welcome. Appreciate you coming in to take a look. Again, we're trading very little today. The market is pretty dead. It's what we call an LPTE, a low probability trading environment. So there's not an awful lot of opportunities for us. We did take nice profits in SMR this morning. SMR jumped up. We get out at $7. That we had put that trade on back on the 11.8 for about 560 to 570. Jumped out for 7 this morning. Looking to get back in again, but OKTE does report tonight, as one of the members pointed out, which means that that's in the same space as SMR. So it might be more prudent to wait till tomorrow to re-enter it to see what it does after the earnings occurs. Other than that, really haven't done any trades today because the market's really not doing anything. All the crypto stocks are down today. Fairly steep this morning. Mara's down about 4%. Riot down about 6%. And Coin down about 1%. So you think it's pretty common for a few days of LPTE after a huge run up in the SPY? Yeah, of course. That's exactly right. I mean, what typically happens if I look at the SPY chart here on the daily over here, you had this big run up, uh, big gap up on Wednesday, and then a nice move up. Now we're flattening out a little bit. Listen, it's human nature. When you get up this high, these people who are down in here, they're taking profits. They're taking profits. So how much is this going to go down? Don't know. This is the 8 exponential moving average, and this is really a good trend line to be able to use. I use it on the 5-minute, and on the daily chart, and this is a nice line to focus on, because it gives us an idea of where that may come back to and then bounce off. When the stock gets away from the 8, that's how I determine if it's extended. This is what I look for. How many standard deviations is it away from the 8 exponential moving average? If you take a stock like Fiserv, which is pulling back today, but is it that bad? See, if you look at the 5-minute chart, it looks awful today. But what you want to focus on is the daily chart, because on your swing trades, that's where you want to be. And you can see that this is a nice bull flag. It's moved up. Volume's dropping off. It's just kind of moving sideways. It's compressing. It's kind of waiting for the 8 to catch up with it. So and it's done that before. You can see the move up here and then the pullback. Same thing. Just kind of follows the 8 up. So that's what I look for. And yeah, the SPY definitely is resting. So is the Qs. The IWM taken a much bigger drop than the other two indexes. It's right back to the 8 and sitting right on it. Again, Compass, this is the SPY super system, or the Compass. That SPY super system is actually a methodology we use to trade the SPYs, the Qs, and the IWM off of the 5-minute chart by using the current time frame momentum, telling us that the institutions are going to either go from, right now it's showing from selling to buying, but you're not going to touch this right now because there's no trend here. It's just flat. You want to join a trend, and we have a pivot point, this white line right above the VWAP, which is the pink line. So this is just wedged in there, so there's no opportunity there at all. You gotta wait for later in the day. This is a dead market right now. QBT going sideways again. Big gap up on this morning, up about 40-something%. Not too much I can say about the market right now. What do I think about Amolex? It broke the 8 to 15. Yeah, it's definitely broken down on the technicals. The thing about Amolex, it's still in a big gap fill, and I'm kind of willing to sit on this for a bit, even though it's down, because it's got the 200 below. But the key thing with Amolex for me is, again, this is a biotech stock, and these things can be really pretty violent. But look at the size of this gap that it's in, and at this point in time, if I'm out far enough in time, and the options aren't that expensive for what I'm in for, so I'm probably just gonna watch this to see if it stays inside this gap, because you got such a big upside potential, and if it bounces back up above the 8 and the 15, I'll buy some more calls further out in time. If you technically it's broken down, so technically you should be taking the loss on it, but I'm not going to do it because of what I just explained. Shai, would I think that Tesla is a good long if when it bounces off the 8 on the daily? It's got to bounce off that 8 and hold. This is the Tesla trade. Again, Tesla's kind of following the market here recently, and it's very newsy. The stock is very newsy. It went right up to this resistance level right here, and now it's pulled back. And this is the 8 and this horizontal line right here. That's some major support. You'd need to see it hold that, bounce off of it, head up, and then you would have room up to about 347. And you could trade it off of the 8, but you have to have a confirmation that that 8's going to hold. Tesla has a history of breaking down through these levels. It's very, very newsy stock. It's very volatile, so you have to be careful. I'm right where it is right now. For me, it's in no man's land. I'm not going to touch it there. Really dead market here. Like I said, I talked about doing a butterfly on today on the SPY right around this 596, 597 level is probably not a bad trade because it's cheap, and if the market just continues like this all day, you can get 3-4 to 1 on something like that. I put one on just to explain the butterfly when it was being asked about. What did I do? I did a butterfly on the SPY. I did the 596 as my midpoint. Sold 2 596 calls, bought a 595 call, bought a 597 call. Cost me 19 cents. And it's a dollar spread between the midpoint and the next call. So that could go to $1 at the end of the day if the market stays right around 596. They're low. They're good risk rewards, but you've got to be able to hit the strike price. So when you're going out in time, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's really hard because you have to be kind of lucky and have good technical skills to be able to pinpoint where that stock price is going to end at the expiration date if it's a couple of weeks away or even a week away. When the SPY, I'm just doing 1 day, so it only has to end up there today. And I'll probably, something like this, I'll probably set a sell order for, if I paid 19, I'll probably set a sell order for 38. I'd just take 100% and get out if it does that. But the butterfly's not going to move an awful lot. Even if the stock's just moving sideways, they're not going to move a lot till later in the day, because it's options that stay elevated until the time decay brings them down long enough or enough to justify the getting some profits on it. Stephen, you cashed a Tesla Butterfly for 100% today that expired tomorrow. That's great. Very nice trade. Very nice. Disney put debit spread rejection off the high cross. VWAP plus 35%. Nice job, Joe. Took half off, and Disney pulled back in here. This morning gapped up and then it's pulled back off of there. Trying to fill a gap right now. think you had my mic off while I was talking about debit spreads. Sorry. Hold on just one sec. Yeah, saw in the Discord in the live feed on the YouTube's mentioning IONQ is a good example, and I actually pointed this one out this morning. If you look at the 5-minute chart on IONQ this morning, it looks awful, and this is the mistake people make when we're trading an IONQ, which we're in IONQ. We're long IONQs, and they say, "Oh, this is a nightmare." No, it's not. Don't even pay any attention to that. This is what you're looking at. You're looking at this daily context of this daily chart here. Move sideways, pulls back to the 8, bounce up. We got a nice volume here, a bull flag. It's the volume starting to come down, stock's moving sideways, kind of waiting for the 8 to catch up with it. This is a beautiful setup for a long. And this kind of, if you get freaked out by this kind of stuff, just automatically look to your daily chart, unless you're just trading an intraday. But if you're trading it on a short-term swing, this is what you want to look at, the daily chart. Focus on the daily chart. That's one of my criteria, and you know, I list this all the time. The criteria that is daily chart and the 5-minute chart need to be aligned in the same direction. If you're going long, you want the daily chart to be bullish, and then you want the 5-minute chart to be bullish when you enter the trade. And it's really not that complicated. The mistake a lot of traders make is they do not look at the daily chart. They look at the 5-minute chart. They base their trades off that. They react to the 5-minute chart without even looking at the whole context of the trade and what the daily chart looks like. It's really, really important. And then, of course, the compass system or the SPY super system here needs to be. You need to have on the. If you're going long in a swing trade, you need the daily chart needs to show up as bullish. So if I look at IONQ on the daily, switch over to the daily chart here on my super system here, it's all green. The institutions have been buying this thing across the board here. Current time frame momentum, multi-time frame momentum, long-term trend, derivation of money flow, all of these are green. It's nice and long. No reason to be panicked out by a couple of ugly 5-minute candles on this stock. Yeah, that's a good point, Saad. And I point that out all the time. In fact, it's interesting. That's the exact example we used this morning because people were freaking out about that 5-minute candle. All right, I didn't answer the questions about call debit spreads and put debit spreads because I had my mic off. Shai, this is what you look for on a. Let's just take a call debit spread. Obviously, the stock needs to be bullish. You need to expect it to move up toward your short call. So if you're doing like $100 and $105 call on Microsoft, buying a $100 call, selling a 105, expiring like on a Friday, then the stock has to be bullish, or you have to be expecting it to move up. Your technicals have to be good on that. There shouldn't be right up against the 100-day or the 200-day moving average. There could be resistance. You need to have some room to the upside. Then when you take this call debit spread, you buy the $100 call, you sell the 105 $105 call. You've got a $5 spread between your long call and your short call, right? You don't want to pay more than $2.50, and you really want to be paying somewhere in the neighborhood of around $2 and $2.10. If you can get it less than that, it's even better. But a lot of that's going to depend upon how close that $100 call is to at the money. We want our long call to be right around at the money to give us the best price for the premium and the best move that we can get for that whole $5. So that's the most important thing, is make sure you're paying well less than 50% of the spread between the long call and the short call. Same thing goes for the put debit spreads. The long put and the short put, you want to be paid well less than 50% of the difference between those two. That's really important, but it all boils down to stock selection and your technicals as far as reading the charts on those things. So like we took that one the other day that didn't work because we only had a couple of days. It would have worked 3 or 4 days later, but it bounced a little bit. You're reading your technicals on these things, and you're making a decision on the trade based on what your anticipation is what's going to happen. There's the SPY pulling back now. Right off the VWAP, showing a little bit of red. Very, very, very poor trading environment today. As we call it, LPTE, low probability trading environment. Shai, I hope that helped a little bit with on the debit spreads. The straddle we talked about in HEI is working pretty well. And when it was trading at 280, talked about a 280 strangle, taking a 280 call and a 280 put, expiring tomorrow. It's down to 276. I paid 460 for the straddle on that, the 280 put and the 280 call. Expiring tomorrow is trading right now at 555. So if it gets to 560, I'll probably take profits. Again, it's trading at 276, so it's trading about $4 below my 280 strike. So the 280 puts are in the money pretty nicely right now. The HEI, by the way, the spreads on the options are crazy right now. The 580, the 280 puts a 295 by 590. Yeah. And the 280 calls are 80 cents by $1.45. So big spread. So if you're trying to get out of something like that, you just put your order and just let it sit there and wait. Again, SPY continuing to break down a little bit. This is really slow market. This is really, it's really important to be able to have patience during these kind of situations. Like I said, probably the best trade to take right now if you want to do some sort of a trade is to do a butterfly on the SPY and around right at the VWAP around 596 or 596, 597, but about a 596. I just took profits in HEI, that straddle, in at 460, out at 560. I could have let it run more and see if it would down more. It might have gone down a lot more, but it could start to bounce back up, which case I would start to premium come out of that. So again, I'm happy to take 25% in a trade that only lasted about a half an hour. So I'm out of the straddle. And I don't know if you have to worry about it at this point. It's down to 275. It probably would have gone up some more, but the spreads, I had mentioned how wide the spreads were. So really difficult. You want to get a price in there that you're happy with, take the profits, and don't look at your rearview mirror and worry about it. Just take the money and go. Again, HEI had huge volume today. It met all the criteria I needed for doing a straddle. Pretty big move up. I was able to get in for a decent price. Again, I paid $4.60 for it. The ATR in this stock, the average true range, as of right now, is over $7. So I paid $4.60 for a stock that can move $7 in a day. I'm happy with that. Yes, you understand the mechanics, but the technicals. Well, the technicals are going to be, we have to talk about specific stock when we talk about that. Um, if there's ever one you're thinking of taking, just pop it in there and we'll take a look at it and see. We think again when you don't have a market doing anything, they're a little bit more problematic because of the fact that you don't have any market pushing it for you. So you have to depend on the stock altogether, which means when the market's not moving up, a stock that's moving up, it has a higher probability of turning back down again because there's no market pushing it. So it's the stock that you pick that has to ride up. And again, you want a stock that's showing some really good strength for a long. I mean, you want some volume in it. You don't want any nearby resistance. You want a stock that's marching up. It looks like it's likely to keep on going. But it's other than that, without getting into specific details on a specific stock, it's hard for me to say whether the technicals on any stock is good or bad. I have to look at it. Like trying to do debit spreads today are really tough because there's no market here. The market's not doing anything. I mean, I can look at these stocks that have got relative strength, THS, but even at this, you see how this is moving very, very sideways. For put debit spreads, see HIMS chopping all over the place. You don't really have a lot of confidence that these are going to just continue down. EQT is not bad, except the fact that it's an oil stock, and it's bullish on the daily chart. So you'd be trading the 5-minute chart for put debit spread on it. But the problem is the daily chart looks like that. So that's certainly not bearish. So when you're doing the debit spread, you want the daily chart to be bullish if you're going long and bearish if you're going short. Same as you would do for any kind of a swing type trade. Boeing pulling down pretty hard. Boeing's pretty bearish. So for Boeing, for example, I never trade Boeing, but for a put debit spread on Boeing, this is not a bad setup. If we look at the daily on Boeing right here, pretty bearish. So yeah, is it likely to continue down? It looks like it is, maybe for at least for a day or so. What's the 5-minute chart look like? Looks pretty bearish. It's coming down pretty hard. So you're looking at maybe 139, 137 or something like that. Depends on what the strike is, but that would be one that would be a reasonable debit spread in which you probably would wait for it is to bounce up to the 8 and then turn around and start to head back down again and then put your debit spread on there. you're likely to get more bang for your buck, and you're likely to be getting in a position where you're going to pay less for it and have more movement potential. Mayank, SYK straddle. $3.90 for 445. ATR of 7. Yeah, it has a pretty nice. That's actually a pretty good price on that SYK. You get the 390 for 445. The straddle. 390. Let me look. That seems cheap. Yeah, the calls are 55 cents by 220, so that's possible. 390 on that. 350s for the puts. 220 for the calls. Trading at 408. That's actually a pretty good. That's a pretty good straddle on SYK. Pretty good straddle expiring tomorrow. $4.08 with a potential $7 move. Not bad. Yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. The thing is, it'll be tough to get filled on the SYK because the spread's so big. And you got to try to pick these things off on site right when it's around 390. Right now it's 389. It's fallen about $1 from there. And it only has $10 spreads on it, so you have to do a 390. So you got to wait till it gets back up to around 390 and try to put it on there. And but that's not a bad price on it. That's a nice look on that one. But it's going to be difficult to get filled because of the spread was so wide. It's tightening up a little bit right now. That's why SYK that the straddle that that Mayank was talking about. AJ SMR above the VWAP. Yeah, and it's a decent entry right here. I wouldn't take a full position until you see what the stock tonight that is reporting tonight. There's a stock reporting tonight that's in the same industry as SMR. So it's kind of important to see what that does. OKLO is the one that has earnings tonight. OKLO. going, coming in. SPY just pulled back down, just not going anywhere fast. SMR does look much better now though. SMR, again, if you're going to take SMR again, you got to remember the earnings tonight on a okay low, but it has pulled above the VWAP. Then it's right back down to it again. So I wouldn't put a whole position on, but you can put a partial position on. So that SYK straddle that was called out in the room here by Mayank, SYK straddle, the 390 straddle, that's a good straddle. I appreciate the pointing that out, Mayank. That's a very nice straddle on SYK. Again, it may work, it may not work, but 440 for a $7 ATR is really pretty nice. And it was right at the, when you mentioned it was right at the strike price you wanted it to be. It was right at the 390 strike. Nice look on that one. And you don't have to try to get greedy with these things. If you happen to get into SYK for like 440, 445 or something, you know, don't look for big massive gains in the thing because you know, it can chop around and it's very widespread. So you have to just put a sell order out there for what you think is the profit you want to take. Let's say you get in at 440, put a sell order in at 540, and be happy with it if you get filled. The other thing on the straddle that was important on what Mike pointed out here in SYK, if we take a look at SYK, when you're looking to do a straddle or a strangle, there's a few things that are really critical. Looking at the daily chart here, first your ATR, you need to know what your ATR is. So look at the ATR right here; it's running around $7. So you want to try to get in well less than that. If you can get in for half of that or 70% of that, that would be a good one. The other thing that's important is where is the stock trading in relationship to its movement today. You want to try to get in at near the very top of where it is, or the very bottom of where when you get in, you want it to be near the top or near the bottom. You don't want to do it in the middle. You want to take it something so if it retraces up, you can make a profit, or if it continues down, you can make a profit. If you do it in the middle, you've kind of have a small upside and a small downside. So it's got to really exceed the high or exceed the low by quite a lot to get to take your profits on it. But that's a nice setup on SYK. The candle looks really small here today, but the movement is pretty nice, and you can see it's this big candle here flushed down into 389. It might go right back up again. This thing moves back up to 392, 393. You're going to have a nice profit. If it pulls down to about 386, 887, you're going to have a nice profit in it. All right, just to kind of explain straddles and strangles. All right, so let's see if we get any questions over in the YouTube room. Do I use 0DT options for the SPY super system? Let me explain that what I use on the SPY super system. Yeah, if I'm using the SPY, the Qs, the IWM, up until about 12:30, I use current day's expiration, 0DTE. Once 12:30, 1 o'clock comes around, and I'm going to do a SPY super system trade, I always use the next day's expiration date. All right, because I on a compression, if the index compresses or moves down a little bit, I'm going to have time decay drained out of there much too fast if I'm on 0 DTE at that point. So after about 12:30, 1 o'clock Eastern time, I switch over to the next day's expiration. Okay? By trying to do a little bounce. D-Dog, nice, Ali. D-Dog. Yep. Very nice. Let me look at the daily chart again. I have these lines drawn that I spend a lot of time trying to create these lines. These are high volume horizontal lines. See where it went right here, 132, 90. It tried to get through it yesterday. Back here, it couldn't do it. Get up to it today. You got to watch it. If it gets through there, you got room to about 136.08. But these lines are actually pretty strong. These high volume horizontal lines. So that I'm always aware, be aware of those. So I can determine where support and resistance is a little bit better. They don't always work, but they definitely an indication, because if you get a really high volume at a certain level and it touches more than a few times, the likelihood is that the institutions are in that thing at that level. Altria is 2, MO, Ali, breaking out. Yeah, MO is a nice one. MO is a nice bull flag breakout. Really a nice bull flag breakout on Altria Group. A nice look on this one by Ali. This is a nice one. See the breakout here? See the big volume bar? This is a bull flag. Big volume bar. Volume starts to drop off. Stock just kind of moves sideways. Here's the 8. Remember what happens. Get away from the 8. It comes up to the 8. It comes down to the 8. The 8's moving up. It waits for it to catch up. Now it's moving up. This is a beautiful setup at MO. MO is a beautiful long. Really nice. No earnings till 2/6. That's a really good setup. Nice look on that one, Ali. Really nice. Again, I took profits in the HEI straddle that I did this morning. That worked out pretty nicely. Pretty quick trade. In for 460, out for 560. Pretty quickly. Maybe half an hour, 45 minutes or something. Alright, just kind of watching the market, not doing much of anything. Again, you don't want to try to force any trades today. You know, like doing a butterfly on the SPY is okay, because it's cheap and it can give you a little bit of profitability, get you something to keep you interested. The SYK that the Ryan just pointed out, that's a relative, you know, it's not really inexpensive. It's about $440 a contract for a straddle or a straggle of this thing. A straddle on this thing, the 380, 390 puts, 390 calls, but it's got a much smaller ATR than what you're paying for it. So that's, I mean, a much larger ATR than what you're paying for the actual straddle. So there's the risk reward is definitely worthwhile for that. Might work, might not work, but the risk reward is good. The probabilities are high on it. We're 12:14 right now. For too long, I'm going to grab something to eat. Jonathan, are those lines automated or something I add to the chart? I have to draw those. I have to put those on the charts. It's it's work. I do them on a lot of charts, but it's something that helps me technically. I don't know an awful lot of people that use that particular thing. I mean, I use a thing called algo lines that the institutions use, that I draw on descending and ascending lines connecting candles that the algos used for key levels. I draw those, and then these horizontal lines are based on volume, and they give me some good indications. Nothing's 100%. We all know there's no one indicator is going to make you a successful trader. You've got to be able to take multiple indicators, use them in conjunction. You got to be able to understand technical analysis. You have to be able to look at your daily chart and make a judgment as to whether it's contextually a good chart or a choppy chart. Do I want to be in choppy stocks? Not generally not. I want to be in nice, smooth stocks that can be relatively predictable. If I don't know where a stock's going to go, like I don't know where Tesla's going to go right now, so why does it to me? It's a no trade. I'm not going to touch it until I get some indication of some technical levels that I can lean on. Again, for everybody in the YouTube room, YouTube feed over there. Again, this is my SPY super system. I run it. The software runs on Thinkorswim. You can buy this software. I have it on here. This tells me whether the institutions are buying or selling. You see how red this is, red and yellow. The institutions are selling the SPY right now. And this was actually a SPY super system setup right here. If you wanted to take a chance on it, it's hard to do today because there's been no trend. But this was a nice one. You could have made yourself a little bit of money on this, coming off of the VWAP or the 15.
A little more weakness in markets in the Nasdaq and the S&P specifically. Not as much on the Dow.
Q's also coming down, not quite as steep.
Still hanging above the close of the day. It couldn't break down the Dow.
But again, it's a very choppy day, not a good trending day. So these SPY super system trades, if you take them, you've got to be taking profits pretty quickly. You have to be fairly passive about when you take profits on these things. Again, the SPY super system, or what's used to be called the compass system right here, with my multi-time frame momentum here, current time frame momentum right here. These are the two important ones I use. This is the one I use for the SPY super system trades, which are off the 5-minute chart using the VWAP and the 15 as support and resistance levels. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for buying, which is blue, to selling, which is red or yellow. We had institutions going from buying to selling right here. And we got a pop out of the box symbol, this pink arrow, a blue arrow, which indicates a break of compression, break below the 15. If you were going to take a SPY super system, this was the perfect place to take it right there. And the market could be waiting for Ed. Ed could be waiting for Powell. I don't think so. I think everybody knows what he's going to. I don't think there's going to be any surprises there. I think the market is resting. When you get this big move that we had in the market over the last week, you're going to get some resting. You're going to get basically buyers and sellers paired off. You got a bunch of people trying to take profits because the stocks have moved up so much on them. You got a few people, a few traders trying to buy in as on any kind of a pullback. But basically, we're just resting, and we got to see if the SPY gets back down to the 8 exponential moving average or not. But it's a day of rest, just like yesterday was. There's not an awful lot of action going on, and so you just have to be very patient. Don't be trying to press things. Again, things like butterflies or straddles are probably okay to do, but any kind of directional trade for a longer period of time right now, I'm a little hesitant to try to do anything till I see what the market's going to do.
Members on Tesla TSLA, Trump transition plans to kill 7,500 consumer tax credit for EVs. Seeing a lot of downtick in Tesla TSLA. Just to get a headline on that as well, Tesla representatives support ending the EV subsidy.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab lunch here in a few minutes. When I go to lunch, I'll go ahead and end the YouTube feed. But I appreciate everybody that's been on YouTube today. Thanks so much for coming in here, joining into the room. Get to see what the how we use the institutional information coming off the SPY super system or the Compass system to let us know if institutions are buying or selling right now, and very, very helpful. If you know what the institutions are doing, that's going to lead you to take trades at a much higher probability of being successful. And we base all of our trades as high probability trades. We let the institutions tell us what to do, and most of the other retail traders, 99% of them, don't have this information, and we do. Yeah, the Compass system right here, the SPY Super Sim, which you can purchase and put on your Thinkorswim platform. Rightline will put it on there for you for free, but you have to buy the software, and that then it will tell you what the institutions are doing. Multi-time frame momentum, current time frame momentum. These are the two most important ones right here. And then we use support and resistance, and we look at the daily chart initially first to make sure that we're trading in the direction of the stock's trend. Very important. A lot of traders bypass that. They look at the 5-minute chart to trade, and if you're just trading intraday, that's okay. But if you're in a trade and you think you might want to be able to hold it all day long or overnight or a week, you want to make sure the daily chart is bullish. If it isn't, you really can't trade it. Now, the SPY super system, where we're just trading off of the indexes off 5-minute charts, then we're just interested in this right here. I don't even look at the daily chart for the SPY super system. I'm just looking at the 5-minute chart. SYK just moving down a little bit, dropped down there from that 390. Again, I had HEI today, did a straddle, and HEI made a nice profit in straddle on HEI. Closed out SMR today for $7. Just kind of bouncing around right now. Looking to add, but there's a stock that's traded that has earnings tonight that is in the same industry, so I'm going to wait for the earnings on that for tomorrow. And then take a look at SMR to re-enter for end of December type calls. Ali, would I wait for MO to clear the previous high resistance in April? You're talking about April a couple of years ago. Yeah, the next resistance I have on MO is 57.10, so close to $2 higher, which is actually a pretty good move on MO. I'd like to break out right here as long as it stays above 55.33. I mean, there is some resistance at 57.10. That's almost 3 years old. But there is some high volume resistance back there. But it's around 57.10. Terry pointing out the IWM is approaching the D1 gap. Yep, sure is. The gap from the big move up last Wednesday. It's 232.50. It's at 233.03. So it's broke through the gap. It has the 15 just below. I mean, when I'm watching this, I'm watching the IWM. Yeah, this is the gap we're talking about right here, between here and here. Pretty big gap, but you've got the 15 right here and some horizontal support lines in there. So just want to be cautious of that. But this definitely is significant that it's breaking into that gap. Nice look on that, Terry. All right, got a lot of noise going on outside. I'm going to go ahead and stop and get some lunch, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the YouTube live feed. But again, thanks everybody on YouTube for coming in. We're here every day. Try to do it around 11 o'clock or so, 11 to 12, 11 to 12:30. QA, how many positions do I typically manage? Well, in the room, I usually manage no more than 5 or 6. Personally, I have more than that sometimes, but typically I'm only managing 5 or 6. Now on the one we got here, we get this saver. This is a put credit spread. You don't really have to do much management on that. But on the trades that we trade, short-term swings and intraday, we do. Now on the SPY super systems, only one at a time. I'm just trading the SPY, the Qs, of the IWM. I just trade one of those at a time, and I usually in and out of those things within 2, 3, 4, 5 candles or something like that. That gives people who want to be in the room can't be in all day and we don't have a trade to take for a longer term trade, that gives them an opportunity to take some trades off of the SPY super system and just focus on those trades while the market's moving. All right, everybody, I'm going to have some lunch. So I'm gonna stop the YouTube feed. Thanks everybody in the YouTube. I appreciate you coming in and watching the broadcast today. Again, we do this every day, 5 days a week. Market open to market close. So very slow day today, but we did have some profits in SMR this morning. A fairly big profit in the SMR, and also I did a straddle on HEI for a nice 25% gain in about 20 minutes or half an hour today. So decent trades, and again, thanks so much for being here, and look forward to seeing you folks back in the YouTube room tomorrow. Have a great one.